What's up, Thomas Keenan? We're talking about meetings today, right? And most of us aren't big fans of meetings, myself included. However, I understand the importance of a meeting and why you need them in order to basically run a company effectively and efficiently. And it goes back to one of my core values in my company, which is communication, and furthermore, proactive communication. So meetings can be the death of a company if there's too many. Many of us have heard the term before, death by meeting, where it's like, hey, let's have a meeting to discuss the meeting that we had for the meeting before the meeting. Like, that's just a waste of time. It's not efficient, and you basically don't get anything done. So how do we go around this? How do we minimize the meetings? What should the meeting look like? How often should we have the meetings? And I am a big, firm believer in meeting cadence. There's different meetings. There's different meetings for different levels of the company, in my opinion. So here's a couple of things that have served me really well in any of the companies that I've either owned, operated, or worked in a very high level operations position within the company. Number one is a weekly meeting. Right? My favorite day of the week to do a weekly meeting is 10 a.m. I actually like to start them a bit late. I like the 10 o'clock-ish time frame. In my last company, one of the things that we did actually was run the meeting at 9:11 every Monday morning. And it was 9:11 for a reason, and that was because when we set the meeting time to 9:11, you couldn't forget it. So even if there was no calendar invite sent out, it was a very quick meeting. It was a quick huddle. We got together. It was a 10-minute max. It started at 9:11 on the dot. If you didn't show up at that time, you weren't allowed in. And we had 10 minutes to rip through the meeting. And 9:11, that was it. Real simple, cut and dry. Another really good famous time for meetings is 3:33. But I personally like the earlier meeting because I want to get stuff handled and out of the way while everyone's fresh in the day. My firm belief is if you have a meeting towards the end of the day, you have a lot of decision fatigue within your team and you just aren't as productive. So meeting time when you're holding the meeting makes a big difference. So let's get back into this meeting cadence, meeting routine. So you have your weekly meeting. This is where you're having a high level talk with your team. This could be a sales team. This could be, if you're a smaller team, let's call it 10, 15 people. You're talking about everything high level within the company. Hey, what's going on? Where are we with this? What's the status? And if you're familiar with EOS terminology, this is where you're talking your level 10 meeting. You know, where are we with these? Are these rocks moved out of the way? Or when I say rocks, these are obstacles that we're working on to basically grow the company over the next 90 days. Next on that list, after we have weekly meetings, I like these monthly one-to-one meetings, and this is typically between the higher ups in the company. So some companies will operate with a CEO and a COO, or a visionary / integrator. In that instance, those two individuals should be having a monthly face-to-face meeting. It should be out of the office. It should be someplace else. And it should take about a good solid hour to an hour and a half. It should always start with, hey, what's going on? How you doing? Let me check in with you as an individual, as a person, before we talk business. And once you get into the business end of it, that's where you're kind of going over, hey, this is what's going on from a holistic 30,000 foot view within the company. Yes, we're moving things forward. Yes, this project's going. Yes, this one's not. Hey, I need this in order to succeed over here. And you're just having open, direct, proactive communication with that individual. Also, in that instance, and in most of these instances, it is going to be the integrator or the operator, the COO's responsibility for establishing this meeting cadence and also determining what's going to be discussed at each of these meetings. Okay, if you leave that to the visionary or the CEO or the founder of the company, they usually just don't have the ability to do it. Not knocking them, it's just that they have so many things going on. They're thinking of all these different new, crazy, cool, amazing ideas to grow and scale the company, that the last thing that they're going to focus their effort and energy onto is actually putting together meeting cadence. So if you're the operations style person, if you're the detail oriented individual, you're the one who's going to have to take control and own that portion of creating the meetings. All right, next on the meeting cadence list, we have quarterly meetings. I typically like to do these if you have an executive level team. This is an offsite meeting with your execs. If you have a smaller team, so when I ran my last service-based company, Top Class Installations, we actually brought our entire company into the conference room in our office, and we did this once every 90 days. And we only had about 15 to 25 people on the team at that point in time. As it grew and scaled up to about that 25 person number, it got more difficult. But when we were around 15 people, it was a good number of people. We all sat around the conference table, and one of the key exercises that we did at that quarterly meeting was a real deep dive into a SWOT analysis. If you're not familiar with a SWOT, it's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. From that SWOT analysis is what we determined we were going to work on for the next 90 days. We chose 3 key initiatives from that SWOT to go ahead and tackle over the next 90 days. And that's what we worked on. Besides us serving the clients and actually doing the work of the business, these were the things that we were going to work on. These were the projects we were working on to grow and make the company better. These are the new softwares we were going to implement, the new things we're going to go build, the new marketing we're going to go launch, the new websites, so on and so forth. It's super important that you also work on your business and not just in it serving your clients. And you've probably heard that from 1,000 gurus out there, but I can't stress to you enough that sometimes you have to take a couple steps back and work on your business in order to move it forward so you can deliver a higher quality deliverable for your clients, so you can get some of that time back and freedom back as an owner as well, right? So meetings will tie into all that and make all of that a reality for you. Finally, the biggest meeting of the year, and this is the way I prefer to do it. I'm not saying you got to do this, but this is work for me, right? And I'm going to give you from my real world experience what's worked for me. It's what we're doing here. Go ahead and have that year-end meeting. This is typically going to be the end of November to the December timeframe. It's considered a quarterly offsite meeting, just like the last one I discussed. The difference here is not only are you doing your quarterly planning for the next quarter, on a bigger scale, you're also doing a year review saying, hey, what did we do well this past year? What went well? What sucked? What can we get better at? And we're setting the target for the next year upcoming. So December of 2022 is when this meeting should have taken place, and you should set your targets for the entire year. You should set, during that meeting, you should set your targets saying, hey, come the end of 2023, by this time next year, 2023, I'm going to be here with my numbers. We're going to have this many people on the team. We're going to have this many clients served. These are the KPIs that you need to get clarity on, you need to establish. And now from there, you're going to build the 90-day game plan that's going to help get you closer to those targets towards the end of the year. Hope this helps.